And we welcome you into our look ahead at the Upstate Spartans 2014-2015 basketball campaign. Alongside is head coach Eddie Payne, also joined by Ty Greene, Mario Blessing, and Fred Miller, several of the returners on this year's squad. And, Coach, we'll jump right in by asking you, you're coming off 2 seasons in which you went to the semis of the Atlantic Sun Conference. Very successful campaigns you're coming off of. What does this year look like for you? I know you lost a very talented senior class. Kind of shape up the season for us.
Well, we've got a lot of new players. I mean, guys that have not proven it yet. Aside from these 3 right here, these 3 seniors have played a lot of basketball, a lot of winning basketball for us, and it will be counted on for them to be consistent and in leadership roles. And we feel good about our players, but again, they haven't proven that they can do it over the course of a season. So it's going to be, a little bit of a question mark going forward. So we'll just have to see how all this works out. I think we'll be a team that gets better as the season goes along, and we're going to be different. We're doing things a lot differently than we have in the past. Well, my entire career, actually, I've never done some of the things we're doing.
Before we go too in-depth into this year's team, how important is it, Coach, the success you have had and the foundation that has been laid to this point?
That's probably the most important aspect of this team. They believe that they're going to be successful. They think like successful teams are supposed to think, in spite of the different uncertainties that some of our personnel have, being new players and young players. But they think right, and they believe that they're going to be successful, and that's certainly a great place to start.
We'll let a couple of you guys answer this maybe. Talk about what your success last year has done for you personally and what kind of taste it left in your mouth, maybe not to reach your ultimate goal, but to be very close to it over the last couple of seasons.
I mean, yeah, we had a pretty good year last year. I think, how I said, it was pretty good, but it could have been great. We were really close to reaching what we wanted to reach all year long. We wanted to win the Atlantic Sun Championship, and it was a really fun year, and it was really hard going out of the year knowing that it was really, really close to get where we wanted to be, but we didn't quite reach it.
And Fred, how much of an added, momentum does that give you or desire going into this new season based upon the success you did have the last couple of years?
I think from the previous years that, we've been building and continuing to get better each year, and that this year we should just prove what we've been working on so far from the past couple years and just try to take it all the way this year.
Coach, looking at this season and coming into it, what are some of the strengths of these new players you have coming in or of this team that you have now as a whole? Every time you lose somebody, you got a whole new chemistry involved. Talk about the strengths of this team as you see it through practice to this point.
Well, aside from these 3 on the perimeter, you're looking at a lot of new frontline type players. We have, for example, from a technical perspective, we have much better stretch 4 shooting 4 men. In fact, all of our post guys are probably a little bit better jump shooters than a year ago. Not as athletic, not as long, but better shooters. So that, we're trying to find a way to take advantage of those strengths that they have and in some ways hide some of the weaknesses as well. So I think you'll see hopefully a better shooting team, a different style of offense that's really predicated on very good spacing on the floor, trying to create more openings for drive and kick things in situations. And so those are a couple things that I would point to.
How about a couple of players maybe that aren't sitting here as newcomers that we can keep an eye on that maybe you're looking for a key year or a breakout year from?
Well, as I look at the guys that are returning that played last year a little bit, Sean Stevens and I'd say Josh Cuthbertson have had probably the best preseason, competition camps to this point. Mike Buchanan is another player that we're expecting to step his game up. He's lost a good bit of weight, and he's got some ways to go to be a consistent producer of points and rebounds, like for example, like Ricardo Glenn was. But I think he's got a chance to do that. And then the rest of the newcomers have shown flashes of good things, and then they've shown flashes of young, inexperienced guys that don't know yet what they don't know. So, you know, that's part of it when you get to this point. Our schedule is a little bit more friendly to us. We have 7 out of the first 9 games at home. We're not front loading a lot of our guarantee games against BCS schools, so we're getting to those games further on into December. So hopefully those things can be conducive to us getting off to a good start and gaining confidence and some momentum as we head into December and into conference play in January.
You talked about some of the guys who aren't here. Break down these 3 gentlemen that are sitting beside of you and tell us a little bit about each one of them, what they bring to the table that's unique and going to be so important to your team this season.
Well, I think the first thing that all of these young men need to do and are doing is to demonstrate through their work habits, their effort, their concentration, the intangible types things that good players do. A lot of these young guys don't know that. You know, they got the modern culture's attention span of less, you know, it's commercial length. That's about as far as it goes sometimes. So, you know, these guys can demonstrate that and can be examples of that. And then from the standpoint of their play, you know, Mario's been running the point. He's the head of our defense. He's a great defensive player. He's an experienced player. Ty's done some wonderful things in scoring and with effort. He always plays hard. He's a real good loose ball guy. And Fred made some great strides last year as a playmaker as well as a scorer, a passer. But he's going to have to do some things differently this year. He's going to have to rebound the ball better, for example. So, you know, all of these guys have great strengths for us, and they've been through it, and they're willing to work on the things that they need to work on to help our team because they have the experience.
Let's go one by one with you guys. Fred, you got a mic in your hand already, and you heard him talk about you last there. Based on coach's expectations, what have you worked on to improve on your game, and what are you most excited about coming into this season?
Well, during the off season, me and Coach talked a lot, and he's working on my catch and shoot jumper and just staying balanced on my jump shot. So that's what I've been focusing on, trying to knock down more shots and create more openness for my teammates. And that's pretty much what I worked on this summer.
Mario, you were asked to handle the ball a lot last season, which has you ready for coming into this year as one of the primary ball handlers. Talk about what else you've done in the offseason to get ready to go for the 2014-2015 campaign.
Well, like always, work on the basic stuff like ball handling, like the jump shot, and also get ready to be in a position where all 3 of us are leaders and have to be somebody our teammates look up to and be a representative of what we want to do and show them how we want to do it. And yeah, and then I worked a lot on my mid-range shot, worked a lot on my threes, tried to get my footwork better to be a more consistent shooter, and yeah, tried to keep improving my ball handling.
Ty, you've obviously already received some honors coming into this season, being selected to the preseason all-conference team, put up some pretty good numbers last year. I know you don't like to talk a lot about personal accomplishments. You're worried about the team goals. But what do you think your role is as a returner and as a leader on this team? And what do you think your responsibility is going forward to all these young players coach is talking so much about?
Well, probably my biggest responsibility is just to be a leader. And that's going to be stepped up even more this year with the seniors that we had graduate. But this offseason, me and Coach Payne talked a lot about staying patient because ever since I've been here, you know, Tori's been on the other wing, and we were able to complement each other very well. So this year is just staying patient, you know, getting others involved if, you know, maybe your shot necessarily isn't there. And we've also talked working a lot with my left hand. That's needed to improve. And I feel that did improve. So we're looking forward to a good year.
Are there any other focal points besides staying patient that Coach Payne has really been working with you guys on this season as you get ready to head into now some actual game action?
Well, all of our coaches have talked to all 3 of us about being the best leaders we can because we're the only 3 that have really been in it, you know, and we've been in it for 3 years. So that's the biggest thing that we can be, because we're going to help these other guys along, because, you know, sometimes they don't necessarily know what they're in for. We do. So not only Coach Payne, but all three of our assistant coaches have talked about, you know, setting a good example, being vocal as well as leading by your actions.
Coach, the conference is a little different this year. A little bit of subtraction maybe makes a little more elevated importance on every single game you have. Talk a little bit about what the changes in the conference, how that maybe makes you approach anything differently, if it does at all.
Well, I don't think it really does in terms of our approach. I think the actual dynamics of the league have changed a little bit. You've lost two teams that have been in the top half of the league for the last, 5-6 years. So you're going to have some new teams step up. Florida Gulf Coast was probably unanimous number one. They've got a lot of returning players, and Lipscomb's gotten a lot better, and North Florida's got their young team who we beat them 3 times last year, but they were all close competitive games, and they've got pretty much everybody back as well. So I'd think those 3 are the teams to beat in this league. And then, but I was a little surprised they picked us 4th, and I think that has a lot to do with what we've been able to accomplish over a period of years. And so, and not to mention 3 returning guys who essentially are all 3 returning starters. So, I guess people respect, I know coaches respect experience. They really, really do. And because not just over the course of a season, but in the last 5 minutes of games, the experience makes a big, big difference. So, and the teams I just mentioned have a lot of experience coming back, both in the front court and back court. So, we'll be looking up at those people. But as I said, the guys, not just these guys, our entire team has worked real hard in last spring, worked hard this summer. The new players that have come in have fit in. They're really, really good youngsters. They work hard. And I think as they get experience and learn more, they're going to be productive players, all of them.
Coach talks about the new players coming in and fitting in. What's the chemistry like on this team? Is it like a family? Is everybody already beginning to gel, and you get the sense that you're ready to hit the ground running when the season starts? I
think we have a great chemistry this year. I think we all get along really, really well. On the court and off the court, we do a lot off the court together. We have fun. We get along with each other. I think on the court, everybody's pushing each other. Everybody wants to make each other better. Everybody wants to be as good as possible as a team. And also individually, everybody wants to improve. And I think the team we have is a really good group, and it's a lot of fun with the guys, definitely.
Excellent. I'll ask you this one. This arena that we're sitting in right now has been rated one of the tops in environment, especially for its size. And for the first time since the school made the leap to Division I, you're going to get to start at home and not on the road. What does it mean to you guys to play your first game here at home, and what does it mean, and I'd like for all 3 of you to speak to this, to play here in general? What's it like to play in this arena? What does it mean to you to be able to play here to begin the season?
Well, I love it because I'm close enough. My house is close enough to here to where I have a lot of family members at each game, and they sit courtside, and I get to listen to them go at the other team. So personally for me, it's pretty funny. But, when you're this close, the fans can have a huge impact on the game. And, if you look at our record at home the past few years, it speaks for itself. And it's a great home court advantage for us. And we take great pride in playing here. And, when it was rated 15th, that was huge for us. And that's something that we do take great pride in.
For the past 3 years, we were on the road for our first game, and I just feel that it's going to be a great opportunity to start the season at home and show our fans what we can do on game 1. And, they don't have to wait for a couple home games to come, and we just get to start at the beginning of the season and try to get a great win.
I always enjoy playing here. I think we have a gym that allows the fans, if they show up, to be really loud and to really have an impact on the game, to encourage us, and also to make the other team nervous. And I think, how Ty said, we obviously had a good record at home, and I think it's good to be able to show the fans right away what kind of team we are, and to let them know that we want to play and we want to play good.
Coach, you have defended your home court very nicely, and this year one of the main goals is to pack the Hodge. How important is it that your fan base shows up and does so?
Oh, it's really important. As these guys alluded to, it impacts the game, and probably because of the nature of this and the size of this arena, it has even maybe a greater impact. One of the things that was significant in ranking this place the 15th in the country was the Spartan Army and what they did. We never knew this magazine was coming to evaluate us. I never even knew it till I read about it 4 years later. It took 4 years to do the whole project. I don't know exactly when they came during that time, but the people in the stands helped us not only help us win games, but they helped to get that ranking. So I've always thought basketball is a participatory sport. People come to watch it. They participate almost like a player. They have active roles in what happens. And so packing the Hodge is a big thing for us from a competitive perspective and from an environment perspective, the fan experience perspective.
We'll finish up with this one before we get to our social media questions. Some of the fans have asked questions we want you guys to field here in the next few moments as well. But you are young. You've documented that well as we've talked through what it's going to take to kind of begin to work your way into who you want to be. With that understanding, what are your personal team goals for this upcoming season?
Well, if anything, we've ratcheted up our goals. We're hoping for big goals. Atlantic Sun Championship, and that's something we always talked about, but we talked about it maybe more this year. I don't know, they could speak to that. It seemed like to me than in past years, because we want to think big, we want to think high. We solicit the motivation that comes from high expectations out from ourselves, and so that's what we want. That's what we want.
And we appreciate the involvement of Upstate's fan base in providing the following social media questions that we'll now ask to our student athletes as well as Coach Payne. And we'll begin on the end with you, Fred. We talked about what a crazy environment this is and how it's been ranked 15th in the country by Stadium Journey magazine. What is your favorite part, they want to know, of playing right here in the Hodge Center?
I think the best thing about it is playing in front of my student friend fans. Most of the time when they're behind us, they give a great vibe, and they're causing a huge distraction to the other team. And, we feed off them. So when they're here and they're hype, it just gives us a lot of energy.
Coach, they asked this question for the student athletes, but I wouldn't mind to hear your answer on it either. They want to know what pregame rituals you guys all have when it comes to getting ready for game time and tip-off. Go ahead, Ty. You start us off. We'll go down to the other end. And like I said, Coach, wouldn't mind to hear your rituals as well.
Okay, this is something me and Mario started. I'm a huge Tennessee football fan, diehard, and one of the best defensive tackles in Tennessee history, before his games, he would have a manager slap him in the face as hard as possible. And if the manager didn't slap him hard enough, he'd make him do it again. He wanted blood to be drawn. So sophomore year, me and Mario, we kind of noticed we needed to get a little juiced up before the game. So sometimes you'll see it on the court, sometimes we do it out in the hallway, but we slap each other in the face pretty hard. We don't try to draw blood, but I mean it's the real deal. So that's something that me and Mario personally do.
We do, and it actually does help. And I have a little personal ritual. I'm not really superstitious, but it's just something that I always do just to get in my rhythm. I tie my left shoe first, then I tie my right shoe, then I tie my right shoe again and my left shoe. And that's just something I've always done ever since I played basketball, or ever since I remember at least. And it just like kind of gets me into a rhythm I need to be in, I think.
We'll make sure we get those shoes tied in the right order all year long. Right. And if the fans start slapping one another all around the Hodge Center on game days, we'll know what that is a result of. Coach, any rituals on your part that take place before you come out and join them on the bench each evening before the games?
Not really. I mean, this is 40 years in coaching and playing. I had some rituals, but as a coach, I really don't have anything I've learned. I might start slapping people around, though. That sounds like a good thing to me.
You may get involved in that right away. I hear you. All right, the other for you two guys in the middle, Fred had his question about the environment. This one is specifically for you two, and probably because you already accomplished this, Fred, but they want to know if either one of you are going to be able to get up and slam one home for us. They're asking for a dunk for the two of you guys at some point this year.
Well, I always think 3 points counts more than 2 points, so I'm not necessarily too much into dunking, maybe because I'm not the most talented dunker in the world. But sometimes I am able to dunk. I don't think it's going to happen in a game, to be quite honest.
Trading 2 for 3, not a bad idea. How about you, Ty?
Well, I love to shoot threes, but I also love to dunk. My teammates can attest that I can get up. I've been claiming since sophomore year that I'm the best jumper on the team, and Coach Scott in the weight room can verify that I do have the highest vertical on the team. So it's really just something that I've been saving for senior year. So I'd expect 4 or 5 to go down. That's my guarantee.
You'll have to come out every week and see if this becomes reality. The prediction has already been made. Coach, we'll finish up our social media portion with you. They want to know, you mentioned your storied coaching career. Everybody familiar with that. 13 years here at USC Upstate. They want to know what's your most memorable moment, or at least pick a couple from your time here with Upstate.
Well, I mean, when we were Division II, we won some championships and went to the national tournament and had really good players and lots of good wins, and, you know, had some real exciting tournament final wins and that kind of thing. I'd say in our Division I era, as good a win as we'd ever had was being down over 16 points to Belmont and coming back and winning, I think, on a tip-in at the, right in the last 3-4 seconds. That was a really exciting win over a quality program, and I think that win probably elevated our team's mentality and attitude and everything was that win, because we were getting hammered at halftime, and we had a memorable halftime talk that day, and the guys came back, and it was just a great win.
I like how you called it a memorable halftime talk. Hopefully there won't need to be too many of those in the upcoming season. We'll close up with this, guys, just let you kind of go down the line. Your expectations for 2014, 2015, if you could wrap them up in just a quick phrase.
Be as confident as possible and win the ASUN championship.
Win the ASUN championship, play a really good year, have as many wins as possible, and have fun.
ASUN championship is the goal and the expectation, and we're going to lay it on the line every night out.
I think the goals are clear, and it looks like they've been clearly communicated, Coach. Thanks for your time and allowing us access to your players for this upcoming season.
Thank you very much.
You can keep up with the Upstate Spartans men's basketball program and everything related to Upstate athletics at upstatespartans.com.